a conference about STEM and our latest competition. We're going to have a student project showcase now, and I'd like to introduce Willow Griffith, who is from the Lady Eleanor Holles School in Hampton. I used to live down the road from Hampton in Teddington, so I know the area well. And she's a sixth form student and a STEM enthusiast, no doubt. So, over to you. Thank you.
Hello, so I'm Willow Griffith. I go to the Lady Eleanor Holles School, and I study biology, chemistry, maths and art. So I really like to combine, as you said, the sciences and the art. And so I'm going to be talking to you today about a project I did to make a fully home compostable shoe. Hopefully this is going to work. Okay, so, oh wait, that's the wrong one. Oh, okay. Right, there we go. So a couple of years ago, I went on a river cleanup with my brother. It's a picture of us with all the rubbish that we pulled out of our local river. And it was just insane how much that was. We saw, as you can see, pill packets, drink bottles, crisp packets. I think we actually pulled out an entire shopping trolley from the river. But I was surprised to see shoes. Now, the parts that make up a shoe, they're often just plastic. The soles, the heels, the eyelet holes, and even the fabric that covers the top of the shoe, that's a type of polyester. It's all just plastic. And plastic never really breaks down. The pieces just get smaller and smaller. Any piece of plastic that's ever been manufactured still exists today unless it's been incinerated. And scientists still don't know the full effects of microplastics, so this is a huge problem. And it made me think about how many shoes are in landfill, plastic shoes in landfill that still exist. And I actually found out that 22 billion pairs of shoes are thrown into landfill each year. And so I wanted to solve this. I wanted to make my own environmentally friendly shoe. So I thought about my criteria. What did I want to solve? Our shoes are manufactured thousands of miles away from us with machinery that we don't know the carbon output of in conditions that we just don't know. Not to mention all of the fuel that is required to transport our shoes all the way to us. So that's why I wanted to make my shoe at home in my kitchen. I also thought about how some brands will label their products as biodegradable or compostable, but actually this often requires certain temperatures or conditions and time frames, and so it can be misleading. So that's why I wanted to make my shoe fully home compostable. You can put it in your compost at home and you'll see the worms, the slugs, the snails all crawling over it and decomposing it. So with that, I began. Okay, so I made a sketchbook as I went along to document my progress. So I wanted to make it out of biopolymers, which are basically just plastics that come from living things. So first of all, I experimented with starch, and I literally just got cornstarch from my kitchen and mixed it with water and boiled it, and it made this really brittle, beautiful plastic that you can see just there. And yeah, so it was amazing, but it was too brittle, so then I added glycerol, which helps to retain the water within its structure, which makes it more flexible. But I found it was too flimsy, so next I experimented with agar. And this worked much better. I again had to add the glycerol, but it had more rigidity to it, which was better for making a shoe. And agar is actually derived from seaweed. So seaweed is this incredible resource, and Harvard scientists think that it can capture, 1 acre of seaweed can capture up to 20 times more carbon than 1 acre of forest land. So yeah, it's incredible, and it's actually really fast growing. Giant kelp can grow up to 2 feet every single day, which I think is just incredible. And yeah, lots of people are starting to use it, which I'll get on to later. But with my materials in mind, I made my first prototype, obviously very basic. I went with a sandal design, but I had a problem with that when I put the shoe in a kind of humid environment, it would take in water from its environment. And so I experimented with additives to try and solve this. So I tried honey, sucrose, sorbitol, salt, all these different concoctions in my kitchen, and I actually found that wax worked the best. And I was inspired to use this because my dad is a beekeeper, and so I wanted to use materials close to me. And yeah, so wax worked really well because it's hydrophobic, so it resists the water entering its structure. And with that in mind, I went ahead making my next prototype. So I mixed the agar in a pot and then melted down some wax and blended it all together, and I made a template. And I put some string in the bottom to try and act as some grip for the shoe. And that's my next prototype. Again, very basic, but I added some lac beetle dye to the top section to make that kind of purple-red colour, which is all organic. But I did have some problems. The shoe did shrink a bit more than I thought it would. I did try to calculate the shrinkage rate, but I think I might have made some mistakes. So yeah, but my aim for this project was to use all organic and natural materials. Nature has been designing for millions of years, sustainably and without any waste, and that was my goal. So I'm inspired by brands who harness this power of nature, and so I'm going to show you a couple of them. So Biopolymers, they make this substitute leather from the leaves of agricultural waste, which I think is really cool. Radiant Matter makes these iridescent sequins from cellulose, which is what plants are made from. Nopla, they're quite popular, so you might know them. So they make all these packaging from seaweed, as I said. And actually, I think for a London Marathon, they made these kind of drinks capsules with drinks inside of them. And so as people were running past, they would grab a capsule, and I think it was actually edible, so they could eat it if they wanted to, or throw it on the ground and it would disappear, which is obviously a much better alternative to huge plastic bottles. Also Keel Labs, so they make yarn and threads from seaweed, and they recently collaborated with Stan McCartney, which I thought was quite cool. So yeah, as you can see, lots of brands are using seaweed, and it's such an incredible resource. It doesn't require any extra fertilizer and doesn't contribute to over-abstraction, which is the process of taking too much water out of our rivers than can be naturally replenished, which is a huge problem. I mean, it's destroying our rivers and the wildlife within it. So that's why seaweed, obviously, it's grown underground. It doesn't require that extra water in order to grow. So yeah, I think my final message really is that we are in a material revolution, and we need to be starting to think about the products around us and how we can redesign them with materials that aren't based from petrochemicals and aren't going to be here for hundreds of years. And so yeah, get creative with the materials around you and see what you can make. Thank you for listening.